So in this video, I want to go over how to use a model to represent integer addition. So let's start with something that you are familiar with. We know how to add something like 2 plus 6. You have two positives, so I can represent that with 2 plus signs for positive. And then I'm adding 6 more positives. So I have 6 more positives here. When I look at those all together, I have 8 positives. So 2 plus 6 is equal to 8. So what happens when we have negatives? Well, let's take an example of adding two negative numbers. Here I have -2 plus -6. When we have a plus sign and a negative sign next to each other, we use parentheses around that negative number to sort of separate the plus and the minus so that you, one, don't get confused, but two, to keep it, easier to read. So on the left there, I have two negatives, which I can represent with two negative signs. And then I'm adding 6 more negatives. So I'm going to put 6 more negatives under there. And when I look at those all together, I have 8 negatives. So my answer to -2 plus -6 is -8. But what happens when we have one of each? Let's try this example of -4 plus 6. I have a -4 on the left, which I can represent with 4 negatives. And then I'm adding 6. And that 6 is positive, so I need to show 6 plus signs. Now, remember that a positive and a negative make 0. Like if I have $1, that's a plus 1, but then I spend my dollar, that's a -1. I now have no money, 0. I have $0. So now I'm going to pair up as many as I can, one positive with one negative. So I have 4 groups of one positive and one negative, and each of those pairs makes 0. And after I have removed all of my 0 pairs, I have 2 positives left over. So my answer to -4 plus 6 is a +2. Now let's try one more. Let's try -7 plus 3. I have 7 negatives there on the left, and then I'm going to add 3 positives. And then I'm going to circle my 0 pairs. Again, each of those pairs makes 0. And once I have removed those 0 pairs, I have 4 negatives left over. So my answer to -7 plus 3 is -4.